After a series of setbacks and doubts as to whether Senegal's presidential election would actually take place before the end of President Macky Sall's term on April 2nd, the election was held on March 24th without any major incident and in a transparent manner. A few hours after the polls closed, partial results were already pointing to a first-round winner, Bassirou Diomaye Faye.
In the land where the baobab tree stretches like a guardian over ancient soil, a new story is unfolding, one layered with struggle, sacrifice, power, and betrayal. A storm is gathering over Senegal's political skies, and at the heart of it stands two men, once brothers in arms, now pulled by the tides of ambition and ideology. Ousmane Sonko, Bassirou Diomaye Faye. Two names etched into the revolutionary heartbeat of a nation. Two men who defied a corrupt establishment, who stood tall against imperial influence, who promised a new dawn for Senegal. But today, the wind that once carried their hopes is shifting, and what once looked like unity now trembles with fracture. To understand this moment, we must return to the days of fire, to a time when Ousmane Sonko was more than a politician. He was the people's defiance made flesh. Under the regime of Macky Sall, Senegal's political space was not a democracy. It was a battlefield. And Sonko, a former tax inspector turned whistleblower, dared to speak the truth. While others bowed to the foreign-controlled status quo, Sonko stood alone, calling out the deep-rooted corruption, French economic strangleholds, and the injustice choking Senegal's youth. He exposed the theft of national resources, criticized Senegal's unjust relationship with France's CFA currency, and demanded that Senegalese sovereignty be more than just a slogan. He spoke the language of the streets, the language of the people, and the people responded, in droves. That scared the system. Macky Sall's administration knew they couldn't defeat Sonko in a fair election, so they reached for the oldest weapon in the arsenal of failed regimes: repression. In 2021, they fabricated charges. First, Sonko was accused of rape, a charge that many across Senegal and the continent saw as a political ploy. When that didn't silence him, they convicted him on spurious grounds of defamation and corrupting youth. Anything to keep him off the 2024 ballot. The goal was clear: remove Sonko from the political equation, destroy his credibility, cripple his movement. But the regime underestimated one thing: love. The love that the Senegalese youth, the unemployed graduates, the struggling traders, the farmers had for Sonko was unbreakable. His imprisonment only made him larger. His silence spoke louder than Macky Sall's entire cabinet. Protests erupted nationwide. People died in the streets for Sonko's name, for his truth, for what he represented. But still, the regime pushed forward, determined to bury the revolution under chains and courtrooms. But Sonko, strategist that he is, chose not to be a martyr in a cage. In an act of profound humility and political wisdom, Ousmane Sonko looked to the future. He understood that the movement was bigger than him, that the real enemy was not a courtroom. It was the neo-colonial machine. So from his prison cell, he selected his successor, a man of quiet strength and fierce loyalty, his deputy, his comrade, Bassirou Diomaye Faye. Unknown to the broader public but trusted by those within the PASTEF party, Diomaye was serving time in prison alongside Sonko for standing up to the regime. Yet Sonko knew that in Diomaye's heart burned the same fire for justice, sovereignty, and Pan-African pride. The world watched in disbelief. A man jailed for speaking the truth had passed the torch from behind bars. And when the 2024 elections arrived, history was made. Bassirou Diomaye Faye won, by a landslide. The old regime collapsed like paper. Macky Sall's allies fled, silenced, disgraced. The people had spoken, and they had chosen Sonko's vision, delivered through Faye's hands. It was poetic. The man denied the ballot had reshaped the future anyway. Senegal became a symbol of people power, of African resilience. And in a powerful gesture of loyalty, Diomaye named Sonko as prime minister, from prisoner to president, from exile to executive office. The revolution had come home. But revolutions are easy to shout from the streets. They are harder to govern from palaces. Today, just months after that historic victory, whispers are growing louder. Whispers of disagreement, of tension, of a bond unraveling. Ousmane Sonko has returned to his natural role, activist, organizer, truth-teller. His speeches have grown more pointed. He has begun to publicly criticize the administration he helped build. He warns of delays, of betrayal, of a revolution veering off course. He meets alone with investors. He speaks independently. He is no longer content playing second fiddle to the man he once raised to power. And though President Diomaye Faye remains calm, diplomatic, and focused on economic stabilization, many can feel the chill between them. There is a slow-burning battle taking shape, not with weapons, but with visions. Sonko still wants a radical break from the old systems, complete currency independence from the CFA, full rejection of French influence, and aggressive anti-corruption purges. Faye, on the other hand, is governing now. He must juggle foreign relations, maintain peace, and ensure food prices don't skyrocket. He leans toward moderation, gradual reform, diplomacy. To the outside world, they are still together. But to those paying attention, the tension is as clear as daylight. Some analysts say Sonko is preparing for a 2029 presidential run. Others believe he never gave up the reins of the revolution. He only lent them temporarily. Inside the PASTEF party, factions are forming. Youth wings remain loyal to Sonko. Bureaucrats rally around Diomaye. What was once a seamless unity is turning into a delicate dance of power and pride. But Africa must ask, what is at stake if this brotherhood collapses? Everything. Senegal's peaceful transition was a light in a dark time for West Africa. In a region torn by coups, civil unrest, and external manipulation, Senegal proved that revolution can be achieved at the ballot box. If Sonko and Diomaye fracture, it will embolden the very forces they fought to dismantle. The oligarchs, the former regime elites, the French economic handlers, the IMF technocrats, they are watching, waiting, and if this house of unity crumbles, they will return, with sharper claws and deeper pockets. To be clear, Sonko's fire is necessary. Faye's patience is vital, but together they are unstoppable. Apart, they become vulnerable. Sonko's role now must evolve, not to fade away, but to channel his fire toward building institutions, mentoring young leaders, and safeguarding the revolutionary spirit from within. And Diomaye must remain humble. He must remember where he came from, who lifted him, and why. His presidency is not his alone. It belongs to the people who cried Sonko's name when tear gas clouded the streets. Let this moment be a lesson for Africa. From Zimbabwe to Guinea, from Mali to South Africa, we have seen what happens when revolutionary comrades become rivals. The dream collapses. The people are betrayed. The enemies return, grinning. But Senegal can be different. It must be, because the world is watching, and the youth of Africa are looking to Senegal not just for hope, but for a blueprint. And to our loyal Voice of Africa family, thank you for staying with us. You, our subscribers and supporters, are the guardians of this conversation. You keep the fire alive. We urge you to subscribe, like, share, and if you can, send a super thanks to support our mission to tell Africa's story our way. Back in Senegal, the story continues. Two men who once marched as one now stand at a fork in the road. Will they find a way back to unity? Or will ego and ambition undo what blood and courage built? Ousmane Sonko, the lion of the people, the voice of resistance, must now choose. Be the kingmaker or become the challenger. Bassirou Diomaye Faye, the quiet storm, The calculated reformer must decide, govern alone or reignite the bond that brought him to power. Senegal waits, Africa watches, and history will remember what they choose. Because revolutions don't die by bullets. They die in silence, in betrayal, in forgotten promises. This is Voice of Africa. We speak truth, not for profit, but for purpose.